See, these are about showing Sharktower and different features, so that's what I want to get into. But before doing that, let's touch on what do people use, why do we use Gantt charts, but the why. So what's the purpose of project planning? So I'll touch on this for a few minutes, and then show you how we try to overcome some of the challenges with project planning and actually project communication in Sharktower. So what's the purpose of a project? So most people hopefully will respond something like deliver a required solution. We set up projects to deliver a required solution. So whether it's to put in HS2, we put in a new high-speed railway, and whether it's to build a building, or whether it's to implement a new piece of software, or to improve a process. So projects are set up to deliver a required solution that the business have told us, the strategies told us, the customers told us are required. But that's not really the purpose of a project. Ultimately, it's to deliver a business outcome from that solution. That solution is just part of the result. So we want to deliver an efficiency improvement. We want to improve a customer engagement improvement, an uptake in sales. We want to change the lives of people in the north of England to connect them to the south of England with HS2. And there's going to be results on the back of that. So we expect those outcomes, those business user customer outcomes, to deliver business results. So actually we'll save money, we'll gain money, we'll improve the social economic good of an area. We'll do regional development. So we expect those results to come. And ultimately that's towards an objective, whether that's the vision, your mission statement, whether it's actually just stakeholder return, because that's the core objective of most businesses, the return for stakeholders. So ultimately the purpose of a project is to deliver business objectives, or societal objectives, or government objectives, whatever it is, and we'll do that through measured results by delivering outcomes that our solutions support. But actually, if you work backwards to what we actually focus on, well, quite often we focus on project scope. So the project was set up to deliver this system change, that building. So that's the thing that is our core focus, what we determine on. So we'll break that down. How do we get there? The work breakdown, whether you're waterfall or agile, you've got to break it down somehow, whether you're breaking it down into waterfall or stories or epics or themes or whatever. So we've got to break that down. And then we'll create the work around that. So what's the task to be done? What's the stories, the tasks, the tickets? What's the communication? What do we have to do to deliver that work breakdown, those deliverables, to get that project scope to hit the solution? And actually, that's what most of us focus on. And we actually focus on the left-hand side in a lot of our silos, quite far away from the business objective. So then as project managers, we have a job of managing that end to end. It's really difficult. And this is a typical life cycle stage you may have seen, you might even use in your own company. Again, it might look pretty waterfall, but actually all projects will start with some sort of strategy, concept, some shaping feasibility, then it'll go into the world of high-level design, or actually understanding the approach, and then we'll go into delivery, build, test. Now that could be agile, waterfall, incremental, scrum, safe, doesn't matter. That bit in the middle is actually what most projects are focused on. Then we implement. Most projects actually stop at this point at gate 5 in this image, where they go, well, that's my job done. I've implemented the solution. But ultimately, there's warranty period, there's productionization, there's embedding, there's actual, getting customers to, take up the new solution. And then there's the benefits realization in the business, which is actually, you could argue, projects should seek to close. So again, the purpose of a project is to move from strategy, trigger, need, opportunity to user outcomes, customer outcomes, business outcome realization. That's, again, what we're trying to deliver. Somewhere in the middle, there's a thing called a project is shaped to help deliver various solutions towards that. And I'm sure I'm not alone in being involved in many projects. I have 20 odd years of delivering large transformations, projects, operational change. And actually, when I speak to most people in projects, they don't know why they're doing it. What they do know is the scope they're delivering, the solution, the system, the project milestones they're delivering, but they actually don't really understand the strategy, the trigger, the need that resulted in the project. And they're not very close to the user, customer, business outcome. So we focus on this bit in the middle and actually don't really understand the purpose of the project. So we spend a lot of time trying to communicate that. And this is, I spent a lifetime trying to do this stuff. And I used to try and manage project management tools. So things that would report milestones against a framework like this back to governance bodies, or approval bodies, design committees, finance committees. Then I try to get a project plan, but actually I'd be working in multiple teams. So we'd have, different team plans, or we'd have agile plans, we'd have different scrum teams working different bits. We had some teams doing waterfall. Everybody would work in different ways, maybe Excel spreadsheet. And my job was trying to get that together. I will put my hand in my hat and say the only person that's ever looked at Microsoft project plan that I've created is me. Then I have to extract everything into milestone reports and give it to a PMO for governance reporting, and no senior stakeholders ever looked at it. So you then create stakeholder communication tools, which say, okay, well, can I turn those milestones into some sort of project visualization? Or actually, even better, can I turn it into outcomes then? Okay, so we're supposed to deliver these outcomes over time as part of this strategy or this project or transformation map. So we spend a long time trying to communicate and curate different views of projects. And you've probably seen us talk about this in other walk-through Wednesdays. This is kind of what starts to go on. We have at this left-hand side, all the teams starting to take disparate work, all the work, actual task management, day-to-day actions from meetings, risk logs, dependencies, the market work that's got to go on, the people comms that goes on, the work happening in Jira for developers, third parties are all working in different silos. So all their tasks are unconnected in siloed views. We try to bring it together, and then we try to relate that back in PowerPoint views and roadmap views and everything back to what those business objectives was. So it's no wonder that we come disconnected with actually what is required from the business, what's involved in delivering that, and because of different resources, how do we keep everybody with shared accountability, from our stakeholders to our business owners to our people in their teams. And that's one of the things that we try to do with Sharktower. One of the things, and I'll hopefully demonstrate this, is as we roll out Sharktower, often engage with companies, we'll find that they'll have standardized ways of working, which there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely is required in some organizations. But what often happens is standardization can drive standardized thinking. So again, projects are planned or communicated in stage gates and milestones towards outcomes. And actually we communicate this back on plans on a page to stakeholders who think that's all a project is. So, it kind of doesn't do us justice in project delivery, because it actually makes projects quite simple. But also it doesn't really reflect reality. And quite often what we're doing is just reporting against the change framework or the milestone or the stage gates. And, because it's an effort to try and pull all these different views together, we'll report the bare minimum. So again, we're not really reporting the truth back. Well, one of the things that we often see with Sharktower is actually when we, onboard clients and we help them move projects from Microsoft Project, for example, or Excel or other things, often plans look a bit like this. Either they're disconnected because there's just lots of disparate work going on. There was pockets of activities, pockets of sprints. There was other work going on. There was just different. So there's all these activities and it's just not connected. So that would give you a problem. If work's not connected, why is it's not flowing towards an outcome? Or they look very much like this. Long delivery plans that just look like stage gates. But in reality, actually, once you start speaking to the teams, and these are two real examples on the left-hand side and right side of the same projects, of two projects. But you actually speak to teams, go, what's actually going on in reality? Well, actually, I'm doing this iteration, that I need to hand off to test to do that. I'm actually doing a bit of agile. We can do these things in parallel. Actually, I'm handing off to this work stream up here that's got work going on in parallel to this bit here that's a bit waterfall. Actually, the real shape of work is completely different, but actually the visualization of it all allows us to start to find where the connections are and not have these disparate connected plans. So I want to bring that to life a bit for you in Sharktower just now about how we can sort of try and curate true end-to-end project plans that come towards outcome realization. Because ultimately, the purpose of project planning is to try and capture the delivery mechanisms that we need for different types of work towards an outcome. So what we've really tried to do with Sharktower in our delivery planning tool is try to bring together all the views possible that you need. With obviously there is a compromise in there, but try to get the best view possible of delivery, end-to-end delivery based on dependency flow that people can put their work under, but that also really clearly articulates roadmaps and the linkage to business outcomes, instead of you having to create many different views and curate them all and create them manually quite often and copy and paste from different silos. the purpose is really to make sure everyone's connected to what's required and everyone can work together and have shared accountability towards delivering their work related to project deliverables, deliver milestones, and ultimately hit objectives. So hopefully you're going to see in Sharktower how we look at actually business objectives, key results, linking that to the project benefits, outcomes, to project outcomes, key milestones, to project deliverables, whether that's work breakdown, activities, sprints, epics, dependencies, and then the lower level work that actually drives that, the real work that drives it, all the different tasks, the stories, the actions, decisions, risks, and issues that come with that. So let me dive in to Sharktower. Hopefully, shout Nikki if you're not seeing Sharktower.
We've got it.
Super. So again, you may have seen this, actually, I'm going to go show the pregnancy. So you may have seen this on another Walk-through Wednesday, an example we use in our demo environment a lot around data migration project, and just to show how our delivery tool. So the crux of our, or the crux of Sharktower is really our delivery map and how we plan, our real-time planning drawing tool that allows people to plan, hopefully as naturally intuitive as they would on the whiteboard, but start to visualize end to end. So I'm showing you an example output of a complex project, and I'm going to sort of break this down and actually sort of start from scratch. So what you're seeing here in our plan is the delivery path towards key outcomes. So this outcome could be data warehouse and production. So that's a real solution outcome. That's a real project outcome. And then we can see that there's some sprints doing transactional data, customer data. There's things, such as ERD review. There's scope planning. There's work back. As you can see, we're working back towards different outcomes, basically work breakdown and dependency flow of those between things. And then those can be grouped into, the sub-projects. They could be epics, they could be themes. Again, we can have pre-project milestones coming up, such as procurement approval, that allows us to move on to the next stage to acquire the tooling required. And then show dependencies inbound from other projects that come into this program. So the crux of Sharktower is to really try and create that end-to-end view of the real delivery, things that are happening, the flow of dependencies towards outcomes, the cross-dependence between different sub-projects, work streams, epics, whatever you do, agile trains, if you're doing PI planning, and then allow the project teams to say, okay, I absolutely recognize my work, I can see it end to end. And then actually I can also see why all these outcomes deliver against business objective. So, the key crux is then clicking that back to going, okay, why am I delivering these outcomes that you saw in that plan? You see it right here on the project report page towards that outcome. And I can click back in and see, okay, why was I delivering that scope in the first place? Why am I delivering a new system? Why am I migrating data to that new system? Well, that ultimately is to help the business drive some of these key results and that operational efficiency objective in the end. So that's the crux we're trying to bring together all those disparate tools and views today into one. So how do we do that? So there's a couple of ways that I want to start just trying to show how do we start create plans in Sharktower. One of the things we can do in Sharktower is create template projects. So we often start, with templates projects that might be stage gates. So you might have some stage gates like design or build that you do for every project. And that's actually a much better example in this demo environment here of that. So we might have a stage gate example project set up here that is that full sort of governance stuff that we have that says, okay, well, projects must have some impact assessment, feasibility, business case stuff. And then this bit in the middle, though, probably we don't know. And then it's going to have some implement. So you can start projects with that way to help standardization. Clearly showing the outcome stuff we expect. The other way, I often, encourage people to start projects again is really start from just the start. Every project probably has some sort of concept, a pre-approval part. So we might go into say, let's just call it new project idea just for the sake of this demo. And how do we build up that? Just like in here, And in this instance, I might select the template. So we might have a project ideation template. Start where a project wants to start. Okay, my new project has been created from that template. So I've got a project here. I can go into the planning tool, and this is really the crux of it. So you'll see this is a really simple template that I've put in here, because I don't really know how I'm going to deliver the thing. What I do know is I need to do some scoping and impact assessment. I've probably got to understand what solutions might be viable. We've got to do that feasibility assessment. We're probably going to need budget and resources, and we're going to have to sort of do the high-level design of how are we going to tackle this. So, what is the approach? Is it waterfall? Is it agile? Is it a mixture of things? So that's probably all I know. But one thing I do know is actually there's probably an outcome realization very quickly in my concept. I'm going to say, well, we want to implement something. So that, we might want to implement a customer outcome. So that could be a new system. And then also there's going to be a benefit realization period after that. Now it could be months after it, but there will be embedding and stuff. So I want to be able to articulate actually benefit realization and what is the result, the outcome. So this is where I can start planning and trying to show that work breakdown towards stuff. So here I started off with a template project. You'll see the feasibility assessment activity. It's already got some predefined tasks in there that I've set up in the template, such as approve a business case, so those are those low level tasks that we're talking about on the left hand side. That what do I need to do? Complete gap analysis, produce business case. Actually, there's a key decision here that I could assign to the stakeholder that actually they have to approve the business case. So that's probably the lowest level of work. So that's a task level work that we're looking at: tasks, stories, decisions, risks, whatever way we're working. Well, what low level work do we need to do to complete this deliverable? Activity, sprint goal, whatever you might be. And then why am I doing that? And what other dependencies do I have coming in, such as high level design, project approach, planning, could be PI planning, anything like that in Agile. And towards what outcome? That might be a project governance outcome. Absolutely. It could be a stage gate business case approved. So you can actually go ahead and start forming a project. And then obviously, as part of that business case, you're going to have to find the outcome that you're expecting to do in the timeline, in rough planning. Then the idea of this is I can actually start planning my project as I've went through that high level design. So, how am I going to deliver this? Well, actually, it might be agile. So, you know what? I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see. So, I might want to do a design sprint because I need to go start, actually defining stories and doing some grooming background. So again, designs, so let's do some design sprint. And that's part of the delivery work stream. So there's me starting to define activities. Now, obviously, once I get into that design sprint, there could be some tasks related to that. There could be, design workshop that I have to go and actually create or put in plan. But obviously, as you go through that, you can then start adding in the stories that you want to capture. You start doing backlog grooming, might be activities you need to do, etc. So low-level tasks underneath that activity. And then we might have to find that actually what we're going to do is work in 2-week sprints. Just quickly put some stuff in there. So sprint 1. Ideally, you're going to call this sprint goal. So sprint 1 might be to, prototype app, and sprint 2 might be MVP app, something you could actually test with customers or users. So that might be good on, and you can start to also break that down into roadmaps. This could be, and I'm doing a very short time scale here for this demo, but I could be creating some roadmaps. We call them clusters, but these are phases. They're epics, and that could be, epic 1, which could be, new app. I can just color code it for the fun of it. So that makes it nice and visual. So, and as I go on, I start, creating more activities. We can actually have an outcome there. So that could be test MVP or MVP tested, that's a better way of phrasing it, tested with customers. Again, so there's a small milestone on the way towards the outcome, and then start creating more activities. Again, I could have another couple of sprints coming in before doing some actual integration work here. So again, sprint 2. Let's just, for the quickness, I'm going to go very quick. I'm typing sprint 3. Sprint 4. Now, you can add more complexity dependencies come into this, of course. I'm just keeping it very simple. And let's just say integration. Let's say I'm integrating this setup back into the main website. So as you can see, I've started to define that next epic phase of work. I can actually take out that TBC because I actually now know how I'm going to deliver the thing. So I can delete that activity. And actually, what I might actually sit down to define, well, yes, we are agile. We've done agile software development here, great. But actually, there is other business readiness stuff going on. So what else do I need for implementation? So actually, I probably need, there's probably going to be, customer comms defined. So actually, we're going to launch the app or something. So there's going to be customer comms defined. There could be marketing. Briefs, everything else coming in. So again, actually, let's bring all the work together into one place. I've just drawn another activity. Didn't mean to. I can do that. Now, this is a real-time drawing tool that actually you can collaborate on with multiple teams and work on work streams in real time, in draft. And let's do marketing plan. And implementation might actually be business readiness in reality. So are the business ready to launch and receive this? So so hopefully, as you start to see, I'm starting to build out the real work required from some template, actually breaking down that bit in the middle of projects. But what I've done, I'm not creating a project plan that says a project plan starts with sprints, development plan, and finishes here. Hopefully, you can see it comes to what the customer outcome is, which if I edit that customer outcome, it's now customers can apply online. So maybe that's what we're doing, is creating a new, mortgage application online. So that's the customer outcome. Brilliant. But actually the business outcome, well, what am I supposed to be trying to do to that? Well, I'm actually trying to, it might be increase mortgage sales. That's what we want to do by, let's see, 10 million. That sounds a good number. So, and I can actually assign that outcome there to the business owner as opposed to the project manager. So I could give it to Neil, let's say he's the head of mortgages. So again, what that's doing is bringing the business owner into the project. So you're actually responsible for the benefit realization of it. So that's how we start to build out our plans towards outcomes. Now, the key bit about that is making sure that is tied back to a business objective. So I've launched that project. I've got a plan, a work breakdown. Again, Sharktower doesn't care if you're waterfall or agile. It hopefully can have all people working on different delivery mechanisms in one place. You'll see that we start to get lower level tasks underneath that I can manage in any way I want. And the key thing is also all our risks and issues. If I raise a risk or issue here, it's related to the work I'm doing, which is related to the outcome I'm doing, which is related to the business objective. Again, we're not creating separate logs of information. It's all about creating everything connected. So if I look at the risk, I can see what it's related to. And I can drill back down to it so I can look at different views. So we've done that, but you'll see this project here, the new project idea, isn't actually linked to business objective. So that's not good practice. We don't know what it's about. So one of the other key things we do in Sharktower is actually try to bring OKRs and key results into it. Now, there's nothing hugely sophisticated here. This is really capturing stuff that sits in PowerPoints today, but it's really about making sure that we know that why we're delivering projects, and that projects are delivered to the business strategy, the business objectives and key results. So it's a very simple one: increase online sales. Part of a channel strategy, we want to increase online sales by 50%. And there's some key results we want to do. And actually the owners of those key results can give their confidence levels like they would in OKR reports and stuff. But the key thing is we can link it to the outcomes that are getting delivered by projects. So in here, there's actually a new website build going on that was actually making a new website live. actually launching a marketing campaign and then actually getting that business route of increased online sales. I can also link it to that new project I've just done, which actually customers can apply online and increase mortgage sales. So again, you're now seeing that I've linked outcomes from different projects, both the project outcomes, going live websites, customers can apply online, also with those benefit realization tracking ones as well. And you could have those stage gates if you want. What that allows me to do as a stakeholder is say, well, okay, what's getting delivered to help deliver my business results as a sponsor? I can click through and go, okay, that website lies at risk, but obviously I know I need it to help increase online sales. So I can click in, look at that project, engage with it, see the plan towards it, and actually get a realistic plan, not a plan on a page. I can actually see what's really going on, and I can actually see where there's things slipped, red, at risk, and I can actually go and ask the project manager if they need help. I can actually comment to them, can I help? Or I can send them a request for an update and engage with them. And what that does is really improve the accountability and actually the collaboration on outcomes. And you can see as a project team, I know exactly why I'm delivering this. I am delivering these outcomes with that plan and my tasks and these activities to increase online sales. And back to that project I just created, a new project idea. Now that I've linked it, you can see it's also linked to that business objective, increase sales. So what we're trying to do is make sure is if I'm a stakeholder, a sponsor, I know why or what is required, to deliver my business. What's supporting me? What's project outcomes, and I can see it. When I'm in a project, I know even if I'm working at a task level, I might only be working at task level, and normally I might have my own spreadsheet, my own Kanban. I might be working in different tools, but actually, in Sharktower, we bring it all together so I can see why I'm doing this work. I can see that it's related to this feasibility assessment. I can see that that feasibility assessment is related to these outcomes, and actually the flow of work that's now dependent on me afterwards towards the business outcomes and towards that overall objective. So hopefully that's a really quick snapshot what we've got, and these are short lunchtime sessions, but we really want to show how can we bring together all those different views of projects that we've got and the different silos of information. But importantly, it's all about connecting the work that we do in projects to business outcomes, so that actually we all know why we're here, but two, we can all actually have that shared accountability and collaboration. That means we actually try and solve the problems to deliver those outcomes for the business and customers as best as possible. I will stop talking there and leave it open to questions, because Nikki's telling me that I should do that after half an hour.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Craig. We've got one question so far. Hopefully we answered your question throughout, Stephen, but it was, are the line labels tasks? So the way we use Sharktower is the line is like your high level scope or activity. I think it was feasibility assessment in Craig's example. And then the next level you drill down to is the tasks. But Craig, please elaborate.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, Nikki. And I'll just really quickly share my screen again, just to make that absolutely clear. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint. So you're right. So those lines you were talking about, Stephen, can you see the PowerPoint, Nikki?
Yep.
So we're looking at project deliverables there. So that's the work breakdown. Whether you call it work breakdown and it's your activities, dependencies, or sprints, that's what those lines were with the labels. Underneath that, you have your work, your tasks, your stories, your actions. And that's also, I include decisions, risks, and issues, because they're all related to that stuff as well. So if I go back to Sharktower, in the plan, you'll see that here. So this line activity with the label, this is what you would probably call, if you've ever worked in projects, we always call milestones level 1 and level 0, like business milestones level 0, project milestones like stage gate approval level 1, and then level 3 is activity level planning sprint. That's what you would call this. So this is an activity, a deliverable, complete feasibility assessment, and you'll see the tasks underneath that are produce a document, get sign off, approval, which is a decision actually in there. So that's where you'll see those lower level tasks or stories if you're in agile development as well, Stephen. Hopefully that makes sense for you.
Cool, thank you. And this is a good question. We hear this a lot. It's how easily do your customers find adopting this process or this approach?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one. I'm going to be the honest answer. So actually, I think some of us in project management are probably, we've got a fixed way of working. We've been working on waterfall or prints for a long time. We've had the same, yeah, I was the same. I've had the same template I've been moving around for 20 years. The same PowerPoint deck that I showed you some examples of. I've had the same milestone reports, plans, and page. So that's easy. That's my default. And I have been manually copying stuff from Microsoft Project to Excel to PowerPoint and different systems for years and chasing information. So, but it's what I'm really familiar with. And it's also what my board and my governance asked me to do, because they're saying you must report against these milestones. So there's a wee bit of resistance there, but actually it's very quickly overcome when you can actually recreate those stage gates and then just say, just plan like you plan on a whiteboard, because every single project manager and every single project team I know, when I ask them, is this the way you're working? When I look at the Microsoft Project Gantt chart, is this your plan? They go, no, that's not what I'm doing. So they draw on the whiteboard, and it's that natural. The thing you draw on a plan on a page that I know most project managers do is the best representation of your project. So that's why we try to recreate that. We try to create the whiteboard experience, and it allows people to, get a better view of real change. And then what you find is people find all those real things that are going on, going, oh, actually, no, because now you've put that up there, I can't do that until I've got something else. So they find those dependencies, flows, they find the bits they could do in parallel. You know what? Actually, while you're doing that, I could do my work because we're not needed until later. So you actually find much better, adaptive plans, and that's the key. So, I think the adoption, then we've also, it is natural. I actually think non-project people find it really, really natural. So where we've seen business BAU project managers who are not really ingrained in, and business people, also we've worked with international aid organization stuff where they've picked it up in minutes after a 1 hour training session, because it's just naturally how they think, and it really aligns to people's visualization of flow of work towards an outcome.
Cool, thank you, Craig. What I'll ask you to do, Craig, is if you wouldn't mind bringing up the contact slide, and in the meantime, just to finish off, I'm going to launch a poll, because I'd love to know from everyone that we've got on the webinar right now, and it's anonymous, so don't worry, but I'm going to ask you the same questions that we asked our LinkedIn followers, and I'm going to ask you, would this kind of approach help you, what might prevent you from doing that? So I'll launch that now, so hopefully you'll see it. It is anonymous. When you've finished, do you get to see it, Craig?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. And you hit submit when you've answered it, and when you've finished, if you'd like a demo and a more of a deep dive into Sharktower, pop along to our website, sharktower.com. There's live chat on there, so you can get in touch with us immediately, or there's buttons all over the place to request a demo, or just see what the rest of our views are on our blog. So we'll just leave it a couple more seconds.
It's quite interesting, some of the views there already. I think lack of time. I think one of the things we've seen in our use cases, and we've got some really great use cases from our own customers where Sharktower has allowed them to deliver more projects. Ultimately, they've removed about 30 to 50% of their manual effort in a week reporting. And a lot of that reporting is chasing information that's sitting in different silos and then recreating different views. So actually that time efficiency, we hope, is one of the first benefits of Sharktower, is actually stopping that manual copy and pasting and reports you do. Then there's definitely resistance from the company. So how do you get the stakeholders to stop asking for the same reports, the governance bodies to do it? And actually one of the things that we do to help with that, because we know that is important, it's like adoption aid tools, is we actually do some tailored reporting to say, well, let's create the view you're used to, just to show you it's the same information. So this is all driven by Sharktower, but in an old sort of highlight report, or in an old budget report, or in an old roadmap report. But that's all driven from that stuff you saw in Sharktower. So if you've got your teams doing real planning in Sharktower, and actually your teams are collaborating to save you as a project manager having to key it in, then all this stuff can happen automatically for you. And then use this to almost overcome that resistance from different bodies like governance bodies, etc., because we know that they're used to a mental model, or there's a certain way of view, or especially when you're in transition, it's not easy to put a new view in while you've still got half the company working in a different way. So hopefully that overcomes some of that resistance. So that was worth showing, because it's a really important point, that resistance from the wider company. I think as project managers, we're always running at 100 miles an hour trying to change. It's very hard to change ourselves because we're having to deliver for the business. So how to be able to change and adopt new stuff without being disrupted, but also while still servicing the requirements of everyone else as we try to change their ways of working, it's a challenge.